Well, hi everybody, and welcome to Talking Hats. I'm Jodi Faith, and kind of came up with this idea that we have people who wear many different hats in our life. And today I want to introduce you to two lovely ladies from Real Humanitarian in Medicine Hat. They run the Canadian office of an amazing humanitarian organization. Introduce yourselves, please.
So I'm Deborah Northcott. My husband and I founded Real Humanitarian, and I live here in Medicine Hat. I've been here for almost 24 years.
I'm Rachel Austin. I am Deb's daughter, and I've been working with the organization as I grew up and in more capacity for about the last 15 years. And I also live here in Medicine Hat with my family.
Wonderful. Well, this show we're putting together is mostly for the viewership in the Fort McMurray area. And that's because, Deborah, your husband is a doctor up there.
Yes, my husband has been working in the regional hospital there as a hospitalist for 15 years. So
and he would have these opportunities to go away and help your students, or obviously coming back and forth to Medicine Hat because he's also a doctor in here, Medicine Hat.
Yes.
And people up in Fort McMurray wanted to know, what are you doing? Where have you been? So tell us a little bit about what does Real Humanitarian do?
So Real Humanitarian became a charity in 2003, and it was because of a trip that my husband had made. We decided as a family that we would adopt two children from Ethiopia, and they arrived to our family in 1994, and that trip was timed right after a civil conflict in Ethiopia, and it was a very emotional experience for my husband as he went to bring our new children home. And once he got home and we talked about it, we decided we needed to do something more. So that's kind of the reason and the birth for Real Humanitarian. We wanted to do something more. So once we got our charitable status in 2003, my husband went back and spoke to ministries there in social welfare and asked them what they felt would be the best solution for the children who were living in extreme poverty there. And their answer was pretty consistent with education support. So that's where Real Humanitarian has put its efforts and energy in trying to help alleviate poverty.
Because if they learn, if they're educated, they're going to be able to change their entire future, yes. Right? That is amazing. So Rachel, how many schools are you involved with today?
So the students at the centers go to all different schools. They live in the same area, so many of them will go to the same school that they're at. But the centers that we run, they're after-school support programs. Okay. And so we'll have a center in a community where the students will come to after school before they go home. And we have nine communities that we work with in Ethiopia. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And from a changing the world perspective, what have you seen with the students that have gone through your program? Maybe talk about that a little bit, because that's the success story, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, so over the last 20 years, we have had just over 1,500 young people who are now, we consider them alumni. They are now independent adults who are moving on with their careers and their lives. Many of them are married and have families of their own. And it's wonderful to see them raising their families without needing any social interventions at all. They're completely independent and able to live their own lives. Yeah.
Isn't that something? I mean, you've actually seen the difference. My husband often uses the term, teach someone how to fish and you won't have to feed them tomorrow, right? Yeah. And that's really what you've been doing with this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's wonderful. So how many people are you associated with? How many people are working kind of hands and feet over in Ethiopia right now?
So we have 92 staff in Ethiopia that run not only the centers where the students are, but also the administrative work. So we have sort of a head office in Ethiopia as well that supervises all of the different centers.
Okay. And how often have you girls been to Ethiopia?
I probably have been more than 100 times since 1996 was my first trip.
Okay.
But I don't know about you. How many times have you been?
Probably about 15 or 16 times.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And have you really seen what you're doing here, to help support all of this, just changing the world? Like, I can't imagine how it's changed for you since, over 20 years ago. And I mean, it's 30 years that you went initially, right?
Yes.
And then your charitable status changes because as a non-governmental agency or NGO, right? You got advice from the government, but then you really were talking with the stakeholders in the communities about how to help, right?
Yes, all the students that come into our program are referred to us by the local Ministry of Social Welfare, basically. They know their community, they know which families are needing help, and so we look to them to help us know who needs the help. And then they go through a process, an intake process, where the family has to make a commitment to allow the child to go to school and not work, and the child makes a commitment that they are in earnest to have an education. And so they do their part, and we help make that happen for them as long as they do their part. And it's magic, actually.
It is magic.
Yeah.
So what is your program costing you per year? What are you having to raise as far as fundraising with Real Humanitarian in order to keep all of these beautiful things happening?
Our goal is to raise $1.2 million Canadian.
Wow.
Every year.
And so how do you do that? Aside from an amazing color run, which we're going to talk about very specifically because that's coming up, how do you do that in Alberta?
We have a variety of different ways that we fundraise. There's grants and various things, but we also run several different events in Alberta. We have some galas that happen in the fall, and we have these color runs in the summer. And then we also have a program called a child sponsorship program, where individuals or businesses can sponsor one or two or as many children as they want, where you donate to the program, and then we match you to a child. And that student and you follow their progress. We send you updates on them. You can write to them. They might write back. And you can really see them as they grow.
Well, that's amazing. So who came up with this idea for the color run that we're going to talk about, the Hues for Humanity color run?
Well, I think the idea was born in looking at the tradition in India, which is an annual holiday. They call it Holi, the Holi holiday. And I think they use mostly the color red, but the idea is that it's a time to have new hope and refresh your ideas or goals for the future. And we just felt that was a really good theme and I don't know, just fit really well with what we're trying to do in giving hope to children in Africa. So we started with that idea of having a color run here. And of course, 10 years ago when we were doing this, it was a brand new concept. And so it's just a really exciting thing. And it hasn't died. The excitement for color runs is still there. So yeah, they're fun. They're a lot of fun.
So when is it going to be hosted in Fort McMurray?
June 1st.
Fort McMurray is June 1st, Saturday, June 1st.
Yeah. Saturday, June 1st. And where are they going to be meeting in Fort McMurray to be able to do this?
So we use the Birchwood Trails, and we meet at the Doug Barnes Cabin, which is right at the center of the Birchwood Trail system.
Okay. Now, how are people going to sign up, and what does that look like as far as becoming part of the color run in Fort McMurray?
So we do the majority of our signups online. If you're very last minute, you can sign up at the desk the day of, but online you go to our website, realhumanitarian.ca, and the events are all there, and pick your spot. You can sign up as an individual or as a team. We get a lot of teams that are families, where we have a whole family come, and so you can dress up as a theme or give a fun team name. One of the great things for families is that children 9 and under, their registration's free. And so you can have just a good time together as a group.
And the registration packet includes a white t-shirt.
Yes.
Because this sucker is going to be so vibrantly colorful by the time they're done. Tell us, how does that happen?
So we have several times when you're going to get covered in color throughout the day. So we start the day with a big color toss so that everyone kind of gets into the spirit of fun. And as you're running through the trails, there are different color stations manned by our sponsors or by volunteers, and they each have colored powder, and they're going to be tossing that all over you so that you get as many colors as possible by the time you finish your 5K.
Yeah.
So much more exciting than just getting a bottle of water as you go through these stations, right?
Yes.
So people are like wondering, what is in this color powder that you attack them with?
Okay. So the color powder is made from cornstarch and baking soda, and then it's colored with food coloring. So it's completely biodegradable. It doesn't harm anybody. The baking soda combined with the cornstarch also makes it so that it can't catch fire. So it's non-flammable. So it's a great combination. Yeah.
It's safe.
And it's also light, so it will flow through the air. So, you know,
those are some of the pictures that I've enjoyed seeing. It's almost like a colorful cloud that you're like literally walking right through and whatnot. That's kind of neat. So in Fort McMurray, do you have people up there right now that people are connecting with? If somebody wants to be a sponsor, if they want to get involved in being a volunteer that day, how do they get a hold of you?
So on our registration website, there's actually a spot for volunteers or a contact us that you can send us a message. And we do have a group of really dedicated volunteers that have been planning the event up in Fort McMurray. We meet with them online quite a bit to check on their progress and give them support, but they're really the hands on the ground, like doing the work, getting things organized up there.
Oh, that's wonderful. Corporately, people have been sponsoring this for a long time, and they are receiving like just that amazing appreciation from you guys, I'm sure.
Yes,
and how many partners do you have?
I think there are about 9, aren't there?
For Fort McMurray.
Yeah. Okay. And a lot of them are like have been there since we started 10 years ago. So there's still a lot of the same sponsors. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, we love them. They're great.
Just wonderful. I think that it's exciting to know that something that started here with a grassroots kind of interest from your husband going over there has turned into something that is helping 500 children a year. Like that's a lot of students and a lot of amazing hope that you're taking to, not only to those children, but to their entire family and the community. You're seeing that shift, aren't you?
We are. Yes. Yeah, it's really good to see that.
So
what keeps us going back.
Oh, I can just imagine.
Keeps us working at it.
Yeah. All right, what are your hopes for the future for Real Humanitarian?
Oh, we want to continue to help people, as many people as we can. And as long as we're able to do so, we will continue to have new students come into the program and help them through so that their future lives they're independent and they're self-sufficient and they can do what they dream of doing.
Yeah. Oh, and to have the stories from the alumni of how their lives have been changed and their family lives, that must just give you guys such great hope for the future, because until you see the success stories going all the way through school and then university and then into family life and careers, you just don't see the whole picture until it's been completed. Right? And you're seeing that all the time.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite things is connecting with some of the alumni. They do stay in touch with my husband and I especially, and their sponsors as well. But yeah, it's really good to be able to go visit them in their homes and meet their children and just see how they're living their lives. They're doing what they had hoped they would be able to do. It's wonderful.
It is absolutely wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, check out the Hues for Humanity Color Run. They have a Facebook page, got the website. You can sign up to run, whether as an individual or you want to create a team. I think I heard that in Fort McMurray too, that there's some kangaroos that might show up. Is that true?
Yes, they have kangaroo shoes. It's the Kangaroo Club. They have a wonderful time every year bouncing along the trail. So
just something so fun and maybe a new tradition for your families on June 1st in Fort McMurray. We're excited to maybe get a report back. I'll be watching to see some of those pictures. You can see pictures from previous runs.
Yes.
And if you're a little bit more interested in what that might look like, you'll be able to see it there. But thank you for joining us. Thanks to you guys for coming out and sharing your vision and your passion with us. Have a wonderful day.